Today, we're going to look at 10 incredible plants that can make your vegetable garden healthier and more productive. Every one of these plants earned its place by doing multiple jobs throughout the growing season. Let's get started. Number one on the list is sweet alyssum. If you have never grown sweet alyssum, please consider in growing it because it will provide exceptional benefits to your garden. It really is a powerhouse companion plant because it will attract beneficial insects like hoover flies, lacewings, and parasitic wasps. And you know those types of beneficial insects will naturally eliminate some of your common pests like the aphids and the whiteflies that we do not want in our gardens. All right, let's look at some of the top benefits in growing sweet alyssum. Number one, a natural pest control. If you look at the flowers, they are tiny, but they are nectar rich, and they are the perfect size for the predatory insects like your parasitic wasp, your hoover flies, and your ladybugs, because they are drawn to this plant because the nectar is so rich and fragrant. Now, they feed on it and they destroy your vegetable pests that you don't want, like your aphids, your mites, and your cabbage worms. Another excellent benefit is sweet alyssum is a highly recommended living mulch around your nightshades. Do you grow tomatoes? Do you grow peppers? Do you grow brassicas like broccoli or kale? If you do, it will help deter pests from these prized vegetables and naturally boosts also the pollination because the pollinators are attracted to sweet alyssum. So anytime you plant it nearby your fruiting crops, it's going to help multiple ways. Another thing, it grows as a dense, low mat, somewhere between 3 to 9 inches tall. So sweet alyssum will effectively cover your bare soil. You know, we never want to leave our soil bare if we can help it. In doing that, it's going to help crowd out weeds before they can be established and also help maintain some moisture in your garden soil. And let me add again, the fragrance and the aesthetics of sweet alyssum is so great. The blooms produce a subtle, sweet, honey-like fragrance, and it is a stunning trailing addition for anything that you want to border, if you want to put it in a hanging basket or in around your container edges. Now, even though sweet alyssum is an annual, it can act like a perennial because it can self-seed. Your sweet alyssum is incredibly easy to grow from a seed when you start, and as it blooms from spring to fall, it will reseed itself wherever those seeds fall, or you can collect the seeds and just plant them where you strategically want them to grow the returning year. Next, we have nasturtiums. Just look how bright and beautiful these blooms are. Nasturtiums is a fantastic way to boost your garden's health, and it has some culinary uses as well. So let's talk about pests first. Nasturtiums, they attract aphids, cabbage moths, and squash bugs. And by planting them near crops that are vulnerable for those types of pests like tomatoes and kale or squash, you can divert at least some of the pests away from your harvest. So that's good news. They are a pollinator magnet. The bright trumpet-shaped blooms are highly attractive to bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds, which helps improve your overall garden pollination. Also, they can help control weeds and they can help improve the health of your soil because they grow a quick, dense ground cover. They can shade out weeds and also help retain soil moisture, which is very important, especially in the hot summertime. Nasturtiums does have some culinary uses. The flowers and the leaves are edible, so everything above the ground is edible. The leaves and the vibrant flowers, which comes in yellow, orange, or red. And so this taste of nasturtiums is kind of spicy watercress-like flavor, and you can add it to different dishes or make beautiful garnishes. Just imagine the garnish around some cakes or cupcakes or other dishes would be quite beautiful. You can also pickle the seed pods. The green seed pods can be pickled and used as a delicious budget-friendly substitute for capers if you like capers. Now, nasturtiums does have some herbal and nutritional benefits. They are high in vitamin C. They are rich in antioxidants, which makes them a healthy dietary addition to your diet. Now, as far as traditional remedies, historically, nasturtiums have been used to treat coughs, sore throats, and minor respiratory issues. So if you have not grown nasturtiums yet, you ought to try growing nasturtiums. This next flower offers so much, and I am so excited about this flower. I have grown these before, and they are easy to grow. First, let's talk about the pronunciation of this flower. Usually it is pronounced two different ways. Let me know how you pronounce it in the comments below. So here's one pronunciation.
Calendula. Calendula.
So as you heard, calendula. That is one pronunciation. Now here's another one.
Calendula is how it's pronounced. So let's break it down. Calendula. Yes, it's a J sound, all right? Not just a D sound, it's a J. Calendula. Calendula.
So the other pronunciation is calendula, and that's how I pronounce it with the J in it, even though the word doesn't have a J. Let me know how you pronounce it. Do you pronounce it with the D sound or with the J sound? Calendula or calendula? Let's take a look at some of the wonderful benefits in growing calendula. Calendula provides excellent pest control, attracts beneficial pollinators, and produces edible medicinal blooms. Let's break it down a little bit. So it is a natural pest deterrent and trap crop. Calendula, it emits a scent that is known to deter animals such as rabbits. It also acts like a trap crop, meaning it will actively draw destructive pests like aphids and whiteflies away from your primary crops. Another benefit, it attracts beneficial insects. The bright orange and yellow blooms draws in pollinators like bees and butterflies, as well as your predatory insects such as ladybugs, hoverflies, and lacewings. They eat garden pests. That's great news. Also, calendula is known for its medicinal and skincare uses. You may have noticed over the years you'll see calendula in a lot of baby products, baby skincare products, and other skincare products. Calendula is celebrated for its anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and antifungal properties. You can dry the whole flower heads to make soothing skin salves, oils, and poultices. That should be a very good thing that you should try to do. Also, the flowers are edible, believe it or not. Both the petals and the leaves both are completely edible, adding a peppery, tangy flavor to salads, soups, and baked goods. Now, historically, calendula was used as a poor man's saffron. The petals can also be used as a natural, vibrant food dye for butter, cheese, and rice dishes. So let's not forget about the soil health and a cover crop. Calendula roots partner with the soil fungi to suppress harmful root knot nematodes. This is very important if you have problems with nematodes, and it can help remediate heavy metal contaminated soils. They are also excellent as a fall cover crop before turning into compost. So nothing is wasted. Calendula, they are low maintenance. The seeds are large and they have a famously high germination rate. So they will continuously bloom if you regularly remove the spent flowers, or also known as deadheading, and they readily self-seed, meaning they will just naturally fall to the ground and return the following season like some other flowers. Even though they're annuals, they can reseed and bring back another crop of flowers next year. Next on the list is dill. You know, growing dill provides fantastic culinary flavor. It supports garden health by attracting beneficial insects and so much more. Let's dive in. Let's look at some of the top benefits in growing dill. At the top of the list, it is a garden and pest control. Dill will attract pollinators and predators. The lacy yellow flowers attract beneficial insects like ladybugs, hoverflies, and parasitic wasps, which actively hunt down garden pests like aphids and cabbage worms. Also, it is a companion plant. Planting dill near brassicas like cabbage and broccoli will help repel common pests, while nearby tomato plants can also benefit from dill, attracting predators that target the tomato hornworm. It is a butterfly host. Dill is a favorite host plant for the black swallowtail butterfly caterpillar. It is highly recommended to plant extra if you want to support local pollinators. The culinary is very versatile. Dill weed and dill seed, both the feathery green leaves, which is the dill weed, and the seeds offer distinct flavors, which is used globally. Fresh dill is essential for homemade pickles, dressings, sauces, and seafood. It does have some nutritional and health perks. It's rich in nutrients. Dill is loaded with vitamin C, vitamin A, and it has minerals like iron and manganese. It has also been used as a digestive aid. Historically, dill has been used to soothe the stomach and also reduce gas and ease colic. Next on the list is buckwheat. Buckwheat is often called a smother crop because its seeds will quickly germinate, sometimes as little as 3 to 4 days, and then it produces these large heart-shaped leaves and that will shade out other competing weeds in the nearby. So that's great. Also, it will attract beneficial insects. They have beautiful white flower clusters, and the honeybees absolutely love buckwheat. Also, your predatory insects like buckwheat as well, like your hoverflies and your parasitic wasps. Remember, those prey upon garden pests like aphids, of which we do not want. It's a great soil conditioner to the ground, and also it's a quick turnaround. Buckwheat has a very short life cycle. So going from seed to bloom is somewhere between 30 to 40 days. So you can grow it, chop it, and drop it, and the crop, if you want to just mow it down or cut it down, roughly 7 to 10 days after the flowering begins to prevent it from going to seed, and then quickly plant another crop in its place. So it is an excellent quick in, quick out crop that will help your soil life and also help your garden. Next on the list is white clover. Now, what if I told you that growing white clover acts as a natural fertilizer by capturing atmospheric nitrogen and fixing it into the soil? It's true, because white clover is a legume. And we know that legumes pulls nitrogen from the air and it converts it into an organic nutrients, fertilizing the surrounding soil naturally. So that's great for the garden. Also, white clover forms a thick living carpet across the soil surface, and that living mulch helps shade the ground, which slows moisture loss during hot weather time, and it leaves fewer open spaces for weeds to become established. And those beautiful white flowers are favorites for bees and many other pollinators. Now, many gardeners grow white clover between their rows. They grow them around their fruit trees or in pathways where it can protect the soil without interfering with taller crops. But like many other ground covers, it occasionally benefits from some trimming, and the clippings can simply be left where they fall, returning organic matter back into the soil. Now we have the beautiful borage plant. If you have never grown borage before, you just might be missing one of the busiest plants in the garden. It has beautiful blue star-shaped flowers that seems to attract bees from sunrise until sunset. Matter of fact, many gardeners consider borage one of the very best pollinator plants they have ever grown. The flowers are edible and make beautiful garnishes for salads and drinks. Borage also develops a sturdy root system and produces a generous amount of leafy growth that eventually breaks down and contributes to organic matter to your soil. Another advantage is its long blooming season. While some flowers bloom for only a short time, borage often continues producing flowers for months, giving pollinators a dependable food source. So what are some of the jobs of the borage? Well, it attracts large numbers of pollinators, it produces edible flowers, it adds organic matter to your soil, it also reseeds itself, and it helps support a healthy garden ecosystem. Marigolds. You know, no list of hardworking garden plants would be complete without marigolds. Gardeners have relied on them for generations and for lots of good reasons. Their bright yellow, orange, and gold flowers attract bees, butterflies, hoover flies, and many other beneficial insects throughout the growing season. Marigolds also add continuous color to the vegetable garden, making it just as attractive as it is productive. Now, some varieties have been studied for their ability to help reduce certain species of plant parasitic nematodes when grown, as part of a cover crop rotation. While they are not a cure-all, they can be one useful piece of overall healthy garden system. One thing I especially like is how easy they are to grow. Marigolds can tolerate summer heat. They also bloom for months, and they require little maintenance once they are established. So just plant marigolds throughout your vegetable garden instead of keeping them confined to one flower bed. The more evenly they are distributed, the more evenly they can attract pollinators and beneficial insects. Now we have come to one of the true workhorses of the garden world, comfrey. This remarkable perennial has earned a loyal following among gardeners because of the incredible amount of leafy growth that it will produce year after year. So instead of buying mulch for every bed, many gardeners just simply harvest comfrey leaves several times throughout the growing season and spread them around the vegetables, fruits, trees, or even berry bushes. The leaves will break down, return valuable organic matter back into the soil, and help conserve moisture around the plant roots. Comfrey is also an outstanding compost plant. The large leaves break down quickly and they help create rich compost for future gardens. Its purple flowers will attract bees and other pollinators, adding another benefit to an already impressive plant. One important thing to remember is that comfrey should be planted where you want it permanently. Because of its deep, vigorous root system, it can be difficult to remove once it gets established. So many gardeners saw that by planting it along the edges of the garden, besides fruit trees, or another permanent location where they can harvest the comfrey year after year. So what does comfrey do? It provides mulch, organic matter, supports compost production, it's attracted to pollinators, it continues producing harvest after harvest with little very attention. Our final plant may surprise you, sunflowers. Most people grow sunflowers because they're absolutely beautiful, but they do far more than brighten the garden. Their large blossoms become magnet for bees, butterflies, and many other pollinating insects. Later in the season, the seed heads provide really good food for birds, or for you if you choose, because you have to get an edible variety if you want to do that. Also, the tall sunflowers can also cast afternoon shade on nearby crops in hotter climates, helping reduce heat stress during the warmest part of the day. Now, some gardeners even use sturdy sunflower stalks as natural supports for climbing beans or other lightweight vines. After the season ends, the remaining stalks can be chopped and composted, returning even more organic matter back into your garden. So one plant can feed pollinators, birds, people, and the soil while adding impressive beauty to your landscape. There are so many benefits out of these 10 beautiful, attractive plants that we have went over. Let me know in the comments how many you have grown before or how many you are interested in growing. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.